Cymatics is the science of sound made visible and is based on the physics principle that when sound encounters a membrane, such as the surface of water or the membranes that surround our cells, a pattern of energy is automatically imprinted on the membrane. The pattern consists of antinodes regions of high pressure and nodes regions of low pressure. In this process, the periodic vibrations in the sound are transformed to become periodic ripples on the membrane's surface, creating beautiful, though often invisible, geometric patterns that are analogues or models of the sound. Cymatics is therefore a natural process that is continually occurring inside our bodies, on the surface of everyday objects, and even at astronomical scales. This intricate dance paints a mesmerizing picture on the surface of the water. It's a symphony of movement, a ballet of oscillations, and a testament to the hidden beauty of sound waves. The provenance of cymatics can be traced back at least 1,000 years to African tribes who used the taut skin of drums, sprinkled with small grains to divine future events. The drum is one of the oldest known musical instruments, therefore, the effects of sand on a vibrating drumhead may have been known for millennia. Cymatics is an aspect of nature that has been known for centuries, and it has a rich and fascinating history which we are going to explore the evolution of in this video. Few will be surprised to learn that the first person to leave a written record of the cymatic phenomenon was none other than Leonardo da Vinci. In the late 1400s, after observing how the dust motes on his work table stirred to create shapes when he vibrated the table, he wrote, "I say that when a table is struck along diverse lines, the dust on it concentrates in various shapes of hills and small mountains. The dust which divides itself into various mountains on the struck table descends from the hypotenuse of these hillocks, enters beneath their bases, and raises again around the axis of the region under the top of the mountain." Da Vinci's recorded observation is profound because in addition to describing the effect of vibration on matter, his thoughts can be translated as a description of life itself. The dust descends from the hypotenuse of these hillocks and raises again. In a right-angled triangle, the hypotenuse is given by the square root of 2, which relates to the division of unity in the generative archetype. Two examples in nature are cellular division following the moment of conception and the division of a plant's seed. The generation of many from unity is an intrinsic aspect of living systems. Leonardo's observation of dust under the influence of vibration was, quite literally, a demonstration of the generative archetype that makes all life. 50 years after Leonardo's observation, Galileo Galilei discovered a related phenomenon when scraping an iron chisel across a brass plate. He wrote, "Scraping a brass plate with an iron chisel to remove some spots from it, I heard the plate emit a rather strong and clear note once or twice in many strokes as I moved the chisel rapidly over it. Looking at the plate, I saw a long row of thin lines, parallel to one another and at exactly equal distances apart. Scraping again many times, I noticed that it was only when a stroke made this noise that the chisel left marks on the plate, and when it went without the shrill tone, there was not the faintest trace of such lines. As I repeated the trick again and again, stroking now with greater and again with less speed, the sound was of higher pitch, and I observed that the marks made during the shriller tone were closer together, and those made during the lower tone less so. Sometimes also, according as the stroke itself was made faster at the end than the beginning, the sound was heard to rise in pitch, and the lines were seen to increase in frequency, though always marked with extreme neatness and absolutely parallel. During the sibilant strokes, moreover, I felt the iron tremble in my hand, from which a kind of tenseness ran through me. It is obvious from Galileo's observations that he was unaware of Leonardo's experiments with dust on a table, and that in scraping a brass plate with a chisel to create sound, he was unknowingly presaging the research of Robert Hooke and Ernst Chladni, who would both come after him. Margaret Watts-Hughes was a Welsh opera singer who experimented with a device she invented in 1885 and named the idophone. Her invention consisted of a wooden resonating chamber with an open end, across which was stretched a rubber membrane strewn with sand and other media. By singing into a tube that connected with the resonating chamber, she was able to create what she termed voice figures. She demonstrated the idophone at a Royal Society meeting held in Burlington House, London. It seems likely that she had been inspired by the work of Michael Faraday. She was much taken with the beauty of the forms, and in an article now accessible in the Cornell University Library wrote, "I have gone on singing into shape these peculiar forms, and stepping out of doors, have seen their parallels in the flowers, ferns, and trees around me. And again, as I have watched the little heaps in the formation of the floral figures gather themselves up, and then shoot out their petals, just as a flower springs from the swollen bud, the hope has come to me that these humble experiments may afford some suggestions in regard to nature's production of her own beautiful forms." She was able to take impressions of the voice figures by applying a coated glass plate onto the moist forms, although it is not known what form the coating took. Margaret Watts-Hughes' research paper, The Idophone Voice Figures, 1904, remains as testimony to her innovative approach to visualizing sound. Now let's travel back in time once again to the late 18th century, to the work of Ernst Chladni, a German musician and scientist. Chladni, who was born in 1756, the same year as Mozart, and died in 1829, the same year as Beethoven, laid the foundations for that discipline within physics that came to be called acoustics, the science of sound. When Chladni sprinkled sand on metal plates and played them with a bow, he discovered something extraordinary. The sand danced, shifted, and settled into intricate patterns, now known as Chladni figures. These patterns were the visual representation of the sound waves passing through the plates. Chladni demonstrated once and for all that sound actually does affect physical matter, and that it has the quality of creating geometric patterns, a testament to the invisible made visible. His pioneering book, Entdeckungen über die Theorie des Klanges, Discoveries in the Theory of Sound, was published in 1787 and is still considered an important milestone in launching the science of acoustics. Chladni demonstrated this seemingly magical phenomenon all over Europe, and even had an audience with Napoleon. Fast forward to the mid-20th century, and we meet Hans Jenny, a Swiss physician and natural scientist. Jenny was so inspired by Chladni's work that he coined the term cymatics, from the Greek word kyma, meaning wave. He delved deeper into this field, using various materials and frequencies to create a myriad of complex, beautiful patterns. It was Jenny who truly brought the artistry of cymatics to the forefront, showing us the inherent beauty of the science of sound. Jenny invented the tonoscope, a device similar to Margaret Watts-Hughes' idophone, but including an electromechanical transducer to excite the membrane. He was also the first to suggest that such a device may one day assist deaf individuals to acquire speech. In his research with the tonoscope, Jenny noticed that when the vowels of the ancient languages of Hebrew and Sanskrit were pronounced, the sand took the shape of the written symbols for these vowels, while our modern languages, on the other hand, did not generate the same result. How is this possible? Did the ancient Hebrews and Indians know this? Is there something to the concept of sacred language, which both of these are sometimes called? What qualities do these sacred languages, among which Tibetan, Egyptian, and Chinese are often numbered, possess? Do they have the power to influence and transform physical reality, to create things through their inherent power, or, to take a concrete example, through the recitation or singing of sacred texts, to heal a person who has gone out of tune? Jenny also excited steel plates using piezo crystal elements driven by an electronic oscillator, devices not available to Margaret Watts-Hughes and other acoustic pioneers of the past. The piezo crystal transducers were able to excite the plates in a wide range of frequencies, including high audible frequencies, resulting in the formation of complex sand pattern forms. Hans Jenny was convinced that biological evolution was a result of vibrations, and that their nature determined the ultimate outcome. He speculated that every cell had its own frequency, and that a number of cells with the same frequency created a new frequency which was in harmony with the original, which in its turn possibly formed an organ that also created a new frequency in harmony with the two preceding ones. Jenny was saying that the key to understanding how we can heal the body with the help of tones lies in our understanding of how different frequencies influence genes, cells, and various structures in the body. He also suggested that through the study of the human ear and larynx, we would be able to come to a deeper understanding of the ultimate cause of vibrations. Mary D. Waller, a scientist of the 20th century, took the baton from Chladni and Jenny and ran with it. She was instrumental in furthering Chladni's work with scientific rigor, exploring and expanding upon the concepts of resonance and frequency. She was fascinated by Chladni's work and recreated all the forms he discovered, taking his work to a higher level. Her book, Chladni Figures, A Study in Symmetry, was published in January 1961 and includes details of her novel method of exciting plates employing solid carbon dioxide chips, which she discovered accidentally. Waller highlighted the importance of the medium's resonance in forming patterns over the frequency alone, enhancing our understanding of the interplay between resonant modes and frequencies. So, from Chladni's sand-strewn plates to Jenny's coined term and Waller's rigorous exploration, a new field of study emerged. One that merges the realms of science and art, of the seen and the unseen, of the heard and the visualized. These pioneers laid the groundwork for what we now know as cymatics, a fascinating blend of science, sound, and art. But the story doesn't end there. Robert Borman is a filmmaker, author, researcher, photographer, inventor, and musician. In 2005, he became interested in the similarities between crop circles and cymatics, based on the work of the English researcher Freddie Silva via his book, Secrets of the Fields. Borman subsequently visited many crop circles in the Netherlands and created a water-based apparatus with which to create cymatic images that strongly resembled the crop circles he had witnessed. In 2020, he created a documentary available on YouTube titled Cymatic Tartaria, focusing on the lost empire of Tartaria, in which he shows striking correspondences between cymatic patterns and Gothic and Islamic architectural features. He also sees correspondences between cymatic geometry and the natural world, for example, the petal arrangements of flowers. He has published 4 Dutch language books titled Waterklank Beelden, Water Sound Images, the first of which is now available in English and contains many beautiful cymatic images. Thomas J. Mitchell and Stuart Mitchell were Scottish musicians who died within a few months of each other. Both men left legacies for humanity in their respective arts to nourish hearts and minds for generations to come. History will remember them, not only as the father and son team who decoded the Rosslyn cubes, but men who understood the spiritual essence of the universe. Rosslyn Chapel, near Edinburgh, famous for its lavish carvings and its association with the Knights Templar, contained a mystery in the form of 4 sections of arches containing cymatic-like designs carved into the faces of 215 rectilinear cubes. Thomas studied the cubes for many years and, together with Stuart, discovered that the patterns related to musical notes to be read in a specific order. Thomas postulated that the builders of the chapel had access to Chladni-style plate and bow technology and deliberately encoded the melody into the cubes. His son Stuart orchestrated the music thus revealed and named it the Rosslyn Motet. It was played on traditional medieval musical instruments in the chapel in September 2006. Mitchell's book, Rosslyn Chapel, The Music of the Cubes, was also published in 2006. Regarding why William St. Clair, builder of the chapel, chose to embed a musical score in such a coded manner, Thomas states in his Music of the Cubes book, "It was a time of great danger for anyone who opposed the medieval church with heretical ideas. Prior to this, the Knights Templar had been persecuted and disbanded by the political forces surrounding the church. William St. Clair planned to enshrine the truths, which had been discovered in Jerusalem by the Templars, in the fabric of the chapel, within its sacred geometry and carvings, there for those with eyes to see and an open mind to consider. Whether it was the Knights Templar who brought the knowledge of the vibrating plates with their cymatic patterns to Scotland, we may never know, but the act of playing a Chladni plate and seeing beautiful forms emerge on its surface from formless sand or salt has a magical quality even today, while in the 15th century it would probably have been perceived as magic or witchcraft. Yet it seems William St. Clair realized that when the music was frozen in stone, its secret would be hidden in plain sight. As it turned out, it was a secret for half a millennium. In addition to Thomas the musician, he was also an avid philosopher and read widely on quantum physics. In 2012, he wrote, "The esoteric idea that everything in the universe is in touch with everything else, instantly, beyond time and space, is difficult to grasp because of the mistaken belief that we are merely creatures of the physical universe, which makes us mistakenly use the physical body as our measuring stick, when in fact we are non-physical creators in our own spiritual universe within, and we create from our spiritual source." Stuart Mitchell was a gifted musician and composer, and his greatest work, 7 Wonders Suite for Orchestra, is a series of 7 pieces on the theme of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Stuart was passionately interested in the link between cymatics, DNA, and music, and his DNA Variations, the Sea album, contains 11 musical pieces that transcribe the mitochondrial DNA of sea creatures to music. Like his father, Stuart was a deeply spiritual man, not in a religious sense, but embracing a spirituality that transcended man-made religions and focused instead on love and reverence for nature and the universe. John Stuart Reid is an English acoustics engineer and scientist who carried out cymatics research in the Great Pyramid of Egypt in 1997. Designed to study the resonant behavior of the granite sarcophagus and the acoustics of the king's chamber. Reid published his research findings in Egyptian Sonics, which documents this study, including hieroglyphic-like patterns that emerged in sand on a membrane stretched over the open top of the sarcophagus. His work in the Great Pyramid inspired him to develop the cymoscope, an instrument that makes sound visible by imprinting sound's vibrations onto water. The cymoscope is an instrument that can be applied to many branches of science, since vibration underpins all physical processes. Reid's primary mission is to educate and inspire in the emergent science of cymatics, the study of visible sound. He speaks extensively on his research findings to audiences throughout the United States, United Kingdom, and Europe, including regular presentations at the Water Conference, which focuses on the physics, chemistry, and biology of water. Reid's scientific research is helping to elevate cymatics in the scientific arena. Dr. Lewis Kaufman, professor of mathematics, said of the cymoscope instrument that it can be thought of as a quantum computer, and upon first witnessing a cymoscope experiment in London, he commented, "It is the most beautiful physics experiment I have ever witnessed." So why should we care about cymatics? Because it's relevant, more than you might think. This fascinating science draws a parallel to how we as humans interact with various stimuli in our world. By making the invisible visible, cymatics allows us to delve deeper into the understanding of sound and vibration and their profound effects on our environment. It's like unlocking a secret, hidden and sacred language, one that's been humming and buzzing around us all along. Cymatics then isn't just about making sound visible, it's about understanding the unseen and the divine vibrations that shape our world. Cymoscope-based research has contributed significantly to the body of knowledge concerning how dolphins see with sound, in collaboration with Jack Kasowitz of SpeakDolphin.com and published in the Journal of Marine Biology. Another study focused on differentiating between the sounds emitted by healthy cells and cancer cells was a collaboration with Professor Sung-Chul Ji of Rutgers University, published in the Water Journal, and a study on the effects of music on human blood, published by ontheexperiment.com website, a collaboration with Professor G of Rutgers University, Sayer G of greenmedinfo.com, and Emily Abbey of roadmusic.co, is the precursor to a paper on this research subject. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting and enlightening content. Your support is very important to us and helps us to create more content. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Until next time, goodbye.